Welcome to all of you in this video. In this video, we will see that how many amendments can be made by simple majority. In the previous video of Indian polity, we already have seen that how many types of majorities are there. So today we will see that what is a simple majority, what is the definition of simple majority, and how many amendments can be made by simple majority. So let's start. So let's first deal with the definition of simple majority. So simple majority. So what is simple majority? So actually, simple majority is the majority of people present and voting in a house. So in other words, I can also say that 50% of the people who are present and voting plus 1 is called the simple majority. So in the way of formula, in the form of formula, it can be written 50% of present and voting plus 1. So this is called simple majority. This is called simple majority. Let's understand it through one example. Suppose the total strength of Lok Sabha, which exactly is the case, that it is 552. So the total strength of Lok Sabha is 552. Let's assume that 520 people are present and voting. So when I say simple majority, I am talking about 50% of 520 people. It means 520 upon 2 plus 1. It equals to 260 plus 1 is equal to 261. Okay, so if any bill acquires the support of 261 people in the house where 520 people are present in voting, then that bill will be deemed to be passed by simple majority. Now let's understand that how many provisions and how many procedures are there by which the bills are passed through simple majority. Let's start. Okay, so first of all, this is the establishment and admission of new states. So whenever there is a bill which is seeking establishment and admission of a new state, that bill needs to be passed by simple majority in each house. Now the second provision is formation of new states and alteration of area, names and boundaries of existing states. So whenever there's a bill which is seeking formation of a new state, alteration of its area, boundary or name, that bill must be passed by simple majority in each house of the parliament. Now the third one is the abolition or creation of legislative councils in the states. As we know that the state legislature consists of two houses, that is legislative assembly and legislative council. But we have only 6 states where we have the legislative council. Those 6 states are UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. So whether there should be a legislative council or not in a particular state, this matter is also decided by the simple majority in each house of the parliament. Now, the fourth one is the second schedule. Now, when I say second schedule, I'm talking about the emoluments, allowances, privileges, and so on of the president, governors, speakers, and judges, etc. So, whenever the allowances and emoluments of such people has to be altered or has to be changed or has to be tampered with, it is done by the simple majority of each house of the parliament. Now, the fifth one, quorum of parliament. Okay, now we know that for the successful conduct of business in any house of the parliament, at least there should be 1/10 of the total strength of that house. So whenever this quorum has to be tampered with, okay, or any changes have to be made in the quorum, it is done by the simple majority in each house of the parliament. Now the sixth one, salaries and allowances of members of parliament. So whenever any change has to be made in the salaries and allowances of the members of the parliament of any house, okay, it is decided by again the simple majority in each house. It's an irony that parliament has been provided with such kind of power that they can determine their own salaries, but it is done by the simple majority. The seventh one, the laws or rules of procedure in the parliament. So in parliament, in each house, certain laws have to be observed at all cost for the successful conduction of business in that particular house. So these rules of procedure in the parliament can be changed with simple majority in each house. So the members of the parliament contain unlimited authority as far as the functioning of parliament is concerned. Now, the eighth, privileges of parliament, its members and committees. Okay, so being a member of parliament, the members enjoy certain privileges. Okay, the committees enjoy certain privileges. Okay, each member of parliament enjoy certain privileges. So these privileges can be easily altered. Either they can be increased or decreased by the simple majority in each house of the parliament. Next is use of English language in the parliament. So as far as use of English language in the parliament is concerned, okay, we know that a member of the parliament can address the parliament either in Hindi or in English or in any of his authorized language, out of any language which has been listed in the 22 languages of the constitution. So whenever the use of English language has to be curtailed, has to be extended, or has to be tampered with, it is tampered with simple majority. It is tampered with by simple majority in each house of the parliament. 10th. Next one is number of puisne judges in the Supreme Court. Okay, number of puisne judges in the Supreme Court. So when I say puisne, I mean the junior judges, the junior judges. So how many junior judges will be there in the Supreme Court? It is also decided by the simple majority. Another is conferment of more jurisdiction on Supreme Court. So if the parliament wishes, they can increase extra jurisdiction or they can increase the power of the Supreme Court by simple majority. So the conferment of more jurisdiction on Supreme Court can also be done by simple majority in each house of the parliament. So whenever a bill will be proposed, okay, or a bill will be introduced which proposes increase in the power of the Supreme Court or conferment of more jurisdiction on the Supreme Court, it will be passed only by simple majority in each house. Next one is use of official languages. Okay, so as far as use of official language is concerned, it can also be altered, changed, or tampered with by the simple majority in each house of the parliament. Now, the next one is citizenship. Citizenship. Okay. Acquisition or renunciation. So, whenever there is any amendment in the citizenship, that amendment, that change has to be passed in each house of the parliament with the simple majority. So if parliament wants to make any changes regarding the acquisition of Indian citizenship or the renunciation of the Indian citizenship, okay, that law or that bill which is seeking that law, it will be passed in each house of the parliament with the simple majority. Now, the next one, the 14th one, is the election. To the parliament or state legislature. So whenever there is any changes sought in the election to the parliament or state legislature, okay, those election rules and laws can be easily changed by simple majority in each house of the parliament. So whenever a bill will be introduced whose final aim is the changes in the election laws, that bill should be passed in each house of the parliament by the simple majority. Now, The next one is delimitation of constituencies. Okay, so we already know that for the sake of elections to the Lok Sabha, okay, the whole country has been divided in different Lok Sabha constituencies. Okay, so similar constituencies are also there for the election to the legislative assemblies. So whenever there is any change in any constituency, okay, that change can be easily made by the parliament using the simple majority. So any bill seeking the delimitation of constituencies, okay, changes in the constituencies, okay, that bill must be passed with the simple majority in each house of the parliament. When I said delimitation, okay, I'm talking about the changes which are made to the constituencies after each 10 years. Now, union territories is the next subject which can be tampered with by the simple majority. So whenever any changes have to be made in the provisions related with the union territories, okay, those changes can be made using the simple majority in each house of the parliament. The next one is the fifth schedule of the constitution. Okay, so when I say fifth schedule, I'm talking about the administration of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. So as far as administration of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes are concerned, which have been enlisted in the fifth schedule, if any change has to be made there, that change can be made only by the simple majority in each house of the parliament. And the 18th provision is the sixth schedule. Okay, so the sixth schedule talks about the tribal areas, administration of tribal areas. So whenever any changes has to be made in the administration of tribal areas, in that case also the simple majority is sought. So any changes can be made in the administration of tribal areas by the simple majority. So today we have seen what is simple majority with the example in terms of Lok Sabha. Okay, we also have seen that what are the provisions which can be amended by the simple majority. Okay, so in this video, this is it. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. If you like the video, please do subscribe the channel and hit the like button.